Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The important news and editorial that will be relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 28th of March. The first important news, that is NCERT to develop new syllabus and textbook as per the National Education Policy 2022 that was envisaged by the Government of India last year. India to use G20 platform to push Rupee trade. Third, heat action plan fails to identify the vulnerable group. This action was taken by the Government of India. There was an audit report by the CBI. Now fourth, that is Sebi to set regulation index providers. And the last is an editorial, a shared G20 visions for ocean commons, a brilliant editorial that will give you an insight about the part of the dedications towards the ocean and sustainability of the environment. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And if you're new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do press a like button. And if you're someone who is preparing for civil services examination holistically, covering both prelims and mains, so for mains, it is very important to have a good writing skill, right? And even to know what exactly you need to write. This can only be curative once you have a practice. So mains test series is the best in this regard. So what you can do, you can enroll yourself for the mains test series. We have 8 sectional tests followed by 4 full-length tests, which include 3 essay tests also, right? So this will give you an added advantage and edge in the mains examination. For more details, refer to the description section of this video where I've provided a dedicated link to buy this course. So do check it out. Starting the discussion with the first news, that is NCERT to develop new syllabus and textbook, something important for General Studies paper 2 under the subtopic of General Studies, that is issues related to development and management of education and human resources. So recently it was there in the news that Ministry of Education will introduce new NCERT textbooks and syllabus, right? This is coming after almost close to 2 decades, like after 20 years, the government is coming up with a newer version of NCERT, right? And this will be rolled out by 2024 and 25 academic session, that is for the next year, right? And the complete part of the NCERT books and syllabus are in sync with the National Education Policy, which is under the National Curriculum Framework, which was released in August 2022. Now, if you see the part of the National Education Policy, it specifically has many other goals, but in this syllabus changes and the part of the textbook, multilingual education is being imparted. So NCERT textbook will develop in 22 languages, जो कि consonants होगी NEP 2020, that is National Education Policies की जो perspective है multilingual educations को लेकर के उस पे. If you see the part of the National Education Policies on school education, there are various domains and verticals which they're focusing upon. Among one is multilingualism, right? So the NCERT has developed material that is based on field-way teaching, like play-way teaching. The magic box will be there, which will be available to every school in form of open education resources. And private publishers are also invited in this. There include Oxford University Press that have already published NEP 2020 and NCF 20 aligned with the books. That is for preschools as well as the preschool specifically for class 1 and class 2. Now there's 5-step learning process that will be evolved after the next academic session with the new books and syllabus. This will call for 5-step learning process. This 5-step include introductions of a topic, conceptual clarity and understanding, practice, which is something very important, applications like uses, and the expansion part. So these are the 5 important components of the learning process that is envisaged under the National Curriculum Framework and its guidelines. So the NCF, the ministry aims to help students to develop the cognitive and critical thinking, skilling, and also providing problem solving and real-time situation skills. So a holistic development of the student will take place at the primary education itself, right? So at the very ground itself, at the roots, at the minds of the students, the government is trying to inculcate such knowledge which is helping them in the longer run and even for the life skills and getting the livelihood options also. Now, if you see the data of the school, as per the Ministry of Education, there are almost 14.8 lakh schools in India with 28,000 Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE के schools 28,000 है. उसके बाद अगर ICSE boards की बात करें, that is 2,000 and 345 Indian bachelor or IB schools, right? The rest are the state board, right? So these are the data directly coming out from the Ministry of Education. Now, the next course of action for the Government of India, what it will be, if specifically the Minister of Education will convey the National Steering Committee meeting to streamline the part of the National Curriculum Framework agenda. और currently government ने release की है NCF के proposal for the preschool to class 2 to bring between 3 to 8. So this will be the part of the curriculum that it will be focused upon, and the framework for this classes is yet to be rolled out. For other classes, उसके ऊपर जो higher classes है उनके लिए भी roll out होनी है. Now this was all about the news, but something specific that I wanted to tell you, that is what is the national education policy for writing in mains examination. If you're able to make this diagram, only this broader perspective will be important. So आप ये जो no language barriers है ये बता सकते हैं. Even multidisciplinary system, reformed board examination, multi-entry and exits, vocational education, and single regulator. So if you are able to draw these diagram only, that will suffice the need for the examination. So make sure you remember this, because NEP has recently been rolled out of the government. It will continue for examination, specifically for mains. This will help you a lot. India to use G20 platform to push Rupee's trade, something important for General Studies paper 2, that is bilateral regional grouping and agreement involving India and affecting India's interest. So India is chair to G20. As we know that India has assumed the presidency of G20 on December 1st, 2022, and it will continue till November 30th, 2023, right? And in this chair, which India is holding currently, India will use this platform. और स्पेसिफिकली अगर बात करें क्रॉस बॉर्डर ट्रेड सेटलमेंट की, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने स्पेसिफाई किया दैट रूपी में सेटलमेंट करनी फॉर मेंबर कंट्रीज विल आल्सो हेल्प द अदर कंट्रीज एज वेल फॉर द इंडियन इकोनॉमी. इंडिया विल बी फोकसिंग विद द countries that is facing problem with a particular currency or the basket of currencies that we are looking to come out of the currencies crisis. Basically जो crisis है recent में, if you see the recent crisis ongoing between Russia and Ukraine is something that is important. Now, how the part of the international trade in rupee will settle? There are certain mechanism that has to be followed. So इस context में Reserve Bank of India ने एक mechanism release की है. RBI is the apex bank, the regulatory bank. So it has said that the international rupee trade will promote the growth of the global trade with emphasis on export for India. Now this mechanism will support increasing interest for the global trading. और RBI के द्वारा approve की गई domestic और खास करके foreign AD, that is authorized dealers, have 60 banks that will be opening the special rupee Vostro account. I have already made a discussion with regards to Vostro accounts and Nostro account. So Vostro account की अगर बारे में बात करें, Vostro account is an account that has a correspondent bank hold on behalf of the other banks, right? And there's like list of the countries on which their Vostro account opening. These are the list of the countries. I'm not reading out the name. You can just check out by pausing these videos. Now, G20 Trade and Investment Working Group, how they will promote this. So G20 Trade Investment Working Group will enlarge the part of deliberations and gold trade investment. Or trade finance supports की अगर बात करें, the economic growth is there, and even it is integral to maintain the international trade flows, which will even call for mitigating the risk and tight liquidity. We have seen that the global crisis has emerged because of the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. The crude oil prices were high, and even other stuffs, food stuff were on the high side. Now, global finance involve number of parties which include banks, finance companies होती हैं, credit agencies, insurance, importer and exporters. Now, if you see G20 in particular, G20 represent around 85% of the global GDP and 75% of the global trade and two-thirds of the world populations. Now, heat action plan in India fails to identify the vulnerable group, something important for general studies paper 3, that is conservation, environmental pollutions, degradation and EIA. So there was a heat action plan which government of India has rolled out और उसके scrutiny को basically there was a study which was made by the premier think tank, that is Center for Policy Research, and their plan has said that states and city government failed to address the part of the heat wave and they were insufficient and lacked certain funding to protect the vulnerable communities, right? CPR is an important think tank in India. अगर बात करें Observer Research Foundation, Sapru House, CPR, these are some of the important think tank that is backed by government. Now, what is heat action plan? Before I come to plan, there's something, heat action plan from a state called Gujarat. There's an Ahmedabad heat action plan to guide the extreme heat planning in Ahmedabad in India, right? So heat action plan are primary policies that respond to economically damaging and life-threatening heat waves. In India, specifically, some of the states have high heat waves, right? Rajasthan, Gujarat, even Madhya Pradesh, to some extent Delhi. So these are the states which pose, even for the South Indian state, we have Tamil Nadu, Kerala, right? A number prescribe activities for disaster response, post heat wave response measures to reduce the impact of the heat waves. Now, review of heat wave plans, how the actual performance was. So a review of 37 heat action plan in India shows that they do not explicitly care the vulnerable part of the group, that for specifically for whom it was actually meant. और अगर बात करें इसके बेनिफिट्स के, जितनी होनी चाहिए हर स्टेट्स ने या फिर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ने उतनी मेजर्स नहीं ली. The Center for Policy Research, which conducted first critical review, called that initially 9 cities were part of it, 13 district and 15 state, right? Which is under clear on part of the prescriptions for the HAP, that heat action plan was implemented. The exact number of heat action plan in India is unknown and some estimate claims that it is over 100 HAPs nationwide. Now, changing weather pattern, something that is the sole reason. I mean, most of like not only India, across the globe, the weather pattern has changed. So Indian Meteorological Department has logged out the hottest season for February, like 2023, since keeping the record in 1901. And in March 2022, the warmest ever third driest season in 121 years. And it also shows that the third warmest April and 11th warmest August and the 8th warmest September since 901. So these are the data from the Indian Meteorological Department. And studies shows that India is one of the most exposed to vulnerable countries with heat wave from 1951 to 2016. Now, representative concentration pathway is again something important. Specifically, this will be relevant for your prelims examination. There can be a direct question. So RCPs are used to understand how our climate may change in future. This is a prediction which is made. And assumptions about the economy, social and physical change and the environment that will influence the climate change within the set of scenarios. UPSC is fond of asking a question in this type of concept. So make sure you are aware of this. The conditions of each scenario are used to model the possible future climate evolutions, right? तो ये सारी चीजें की जो graphical representations है वो इस representation concentration pathway से मिलती है. Increased heat is already leading to more heat death, even heat stress, and the part of the vector-borne diseases that is spreading across the country. Now, other important findings की अगर बात करें, as by 2050 said that 24 urban centers are projected to breach the average summer height, which is 35 degrees Celsius approximately, और इससे ऊपर होने की संभावना है. The International Labour Organization estimates that the working hour due to heat stress would increase to 5.8% and working hour by 2030 of an estimate equivalent to 34 million jobs. Now, Sebi said to regulate index providers, something important when we have a report by Hindenburg claiming the part of the fraud and even some malfunctioning taking from the group, the company called Adani Group. We're not into part of on that particular news. We're more concerned about the Sebi's regulations. So Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization, resource growth and development. General Studies paper 3 के लिए important है ये. We'll see the detail about the news. Security and Exchange Board of India, this is a market regulator in the country, the apex market regulator, is said that the practice of market index amid the concern about the safety of the passive investors taking or parking their fund will linked to the part of Adani Group. And a meltdown was seen after the release of the Hindenburg research report. Now, basically, if we talk about Sebi ki, these will be taking the regulation part, right? The entire part of the index that will be taken care by the Sebi. The Parliament has entrusted Sebi with the protection for investor interests. That must be done, because if you see the regulatory part, Sebi is the sole body taking care for the entire. Moving to the regulations of the index providers. Now, need for greater oversight की बात की गई है. The Sebi will be coming up with the discussions on how the unregulated index provider will be taken care of, specifically in the indexes or marketed like NSE, National Stock Exchange, या फिर BSE की बात करें, which will be taken care. Even for Asian Index Private Limited, which is a joint venture of BSE with the Dow Jones, which is there. The draft regulation framework for index provider was mooted by Sebi in December only, and it has raised concern about the possible conflict that is going between the investor and even the regulation coming out from the government itself. Now, Sebi की अगर बात करें, there has been a question of Sebi in various examinations, specifically अगर UPSC prelims की बात करें, here and there was question, not direct, but based on that. So, Sebi is a statutory body established under the Sebi Act 1992. It was formed in response to malpractices that is going in the capital market, where negatively imparting confidence in the market, and it's a sole body which regulate the market and have a positive sentiment and even balance the standard which is there among the players. Its primary objective is to protect the interest of investor, prevent malpractices, and ensure a proper and fair functioning of the markets. Now, moving to the editorial of the day, a shared G20 vision for ocean common, right? Something important for general studies paper 2 and paper 3. Paper 2, it is under the bilateral regional grouping and agreement involving India and affecting India's interest. And under general studies paper 2, that is conservation, environmental pollutions, degradation, and EIA. So what I'll be discussing under this editorial, the theme is G20 vision for ocean commons. We'll see blue economy, government के क्या initiatives हैं, CR जो CRZ है, coastal zone regulations के कौन-कौन से level हैं, वो देखेंगे. Addressing the plastic pollutions, India की क्या opportunity है G20 में, G20 forum और ocean related क्या-क्या initiatives हैं, and the way forward. Now, if you see in general, the ocean hold limitless opportunity and prosperity for our planet. This is fact. And the other fact is that the most prosperous cities and countries are endowed with a coast, right? Which India definitely is. And G20 countries together account for 45% of the world coastline and over 21% of the exclusive economic zones. Now, blue economy की अगर बात करें, when we are discussing this part, this editorial concern the blue economy, you need to understand the term blue economy. It not only includes the ocean dependent development, but also inclusive social development and environmental and ecological security. This is a complete holistic definition of blue economy, and even recognizing the distributions of ocean economic for sustainable development is the main agenda. And even the Prime Minister of India has said that, I quote what he said, to me, blue chakra in the Indian national flag represent the potential of ocean economy. If you're writing in mains, you can directly quote him by inverted commas. Now, government के कुछ initiatives की बात करें, which is taken care for the blue economy promotions. Among them, the first is Sagarmala Initiative. I'm not elaborating on the part of the initiative. Do check it out. आपने पढ़ा होगा पहले, नहीं पढ़ा है, Google it, because these initiatives are relevant. There can be a direct question in the prelims examination. I'm giving you a broader picture. What are the important initiatives by the government of India? First is Sagarmala Initiative. Second is shipbuilding finance assistance, encourage domestic shipping. Third is प्रधानमंत्री मत्स्य संपदा योजना, जहाँ पे ब्लू इकोनॉमी को, जो ब्लू रिवोल्यूशन है उसको बढ़ाने की बात की गई है फॉर द फिशरी सेक्टर. Then fourth, we have the Sagar Manthan dashboard, which is again helping for the part of real-time visual tracking, and the Deep Ocean Mission, which is the fifth one for exploring part of the deep sea and even the economic exclusive zone and continental shelf that was developed of technology for harnessing them. Now there's CRZ, known as Coastal Zone Regulation, right? CRZ. Now this was adopted and notified by the government of India to maintain the coastal region, which should be economically viable, और specifically जो economic sensitive coastal zone है उनको regulate करने के लिए लाई गई थी. I'll show you a map in a bit. And the World Economic Environment Day में जो 2018 Prime Minister has said that we'll be looking forward with the elimination of single-use plastic. Now what is a CRZ? There are 5 levels in the CRZ. You see there actually there's subsection also, but the broader perspective is CR1, that is ecological sensitive zone, CR2 for urban development and other part, CRZ for rural and urban areas. Then we have CRZ3 for rural areas. This is categorized under B and A. Then we have CRZ4, that is for aquatic area and terrestrial limits, right? These are the coastal areas for country: Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and West Bengal. Now, addressing the plastic pollution is a priority. Even in 2022, the global community has come together in a treaty where they will be address the part of the plastic pollutions. और इंडिया ने इसी context में plastic waste management rule release की है, जहाँ पे single use plastics को ban की गई है. And India has also introduced a procedures for extended producer responsibility, जिसे EPR भी कहते हैं, और इस norms के through जो producers होंगे उनके responsibility को और बढ़ाया गया है in order to combat the plastic pollutions, including the part of the marine involved. Now, India has opportunity in the G20, definitely the G20 presidency, which India is holding currently, call for a broader perspective in the blue economy, and India will articulate its priority in the Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group, which will be holding in a due. And it aims to adopt the part of high-level principle as a guide to the sustainable and equitable economic development through ocean and its resources. Now, G20 forum में ocean related के कुछ initiatives की अगर बात करें, some of the initiatives were already there. This include G20 action plan on marine litter, OCASA blue visions, right? Blue ocean vision, and the Coral Research and Development Accelerator platform. So these 3 initiatives is very important. There can be a direct question in the prelims examination. And holistic development of blue economy were initiated at G20, which was launched in Bali last year. Now, the way forward in this context, first, that the India G20 presidency would play an important role in promoting individual and collective actions to facilitate the transitions toward the sustainable blue economy. The G20 forum presents an excellent opportunity to build effective communication with stakeholders with the best practices to foster the collaboration and advancement in science and technology, promote public-private partnership, and create noble blue finance mechanism. Now, spirit of one earth, one family, one future, जहाँ पे इंडिया ने वसुदेव कुटुंबकम की बात की है, this must be there for the global community and well-being oceans for common. So there has to have a one family, one earth futures where the concept should be envisaged for all members country, और इसी visions के साथ हमें आगे बढ़ने की जरूरत है, so that each and every member countries are helped, and not only member countries, apart from the member countries, the world at large should be benefited from the initiatives of G20. Now, moving ahead with the MCQ questions of the day, before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday's questions. For first question, the correct option is A. For second question, also the correct option is A. Today's MCQ for practice, that is the Committee on Content Regulations by Government of India Advertising. You have to choose the correct option. It was under the Union Ministry for Environment and Broadcasting, and it says to regulate the content and state government to advertisement of all media platforms. You can pause this video, you can read out the statement as per your convenience, and then you can choose the answer. Second is about the J&K Land Rule 2022. The lease period of the landlords will be extended for the lease expiry. and the lease period has been reduced to 40 years. So do check it out for the correct option. Practicing a lot more question will give you an added advantages over the prelims examination. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis, followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.